In the college football world of musical quarterbacks, and in a season where predicted elite quarterbacks have either been average or in some cases shockingly disappointing, USC quarterback Jayden Maiava is another contestant in What Are We Going to Get This Week? This is QB Unfiltered, my take. Jayden Maiava is definitely...
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up.
Okay, I've been leading off with this narrative now for about the last 3 weeks. After 5, 6, and now 7 games, I think that we can say that the guys playing quarterback in the college football landscape in 2025 fit into the following categories. Really good. And in a few cases, those guys are in the dude category for me. Really good, okay? Then you've got good. Then you've got average, below average, disappointing, and we may have to create a 6th category of Jekyll and Hyde. And I can only base this on the full games that I've watched plus clips, and whether he shines or struggles, I think I've got a pretty good handle on being able to determine who can play quarterback and who can't. Which leads me to redshirt junior Jayden Maiava of USC. So I'm going to give you my general take on his overall game, and then we're going to dive into his performance against Notre Dame this past Saturday. And as always, please like and share this video and subscribe to the channel, QB Unfiltered. I really appreciate the support. And guys, before we jump into this thing, hopefully I can get this out on Wednesday, but more than likely it's going to come out on Thursday. The app that I use to record the raw footage of these videos was down all day yesterday, which was Monday. So that kind of puts me a day behind. I apologize for that, but we're going to get it out one way or the other. Okay, Jayden Maiava, 6'4", 230-pound redshirt junior. He was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, and he played his high school ball at Liberty High in Nevada. Now, he signed out of high school with UNLV, and in 2022, he redshirted. So he began the 2023 season as the backup for the Runnin' Rebels, and after an injury to their starter, he was inserted into the lineup and had a pretty decent year, throwing for 3,085 yards. He threw 17 touchdown passes, but he threw 10 picks. Okay, he hit on a respectable 63.5% of his passes. And then he started messing around with the good old transfer portal, initially committing to the University of Georgia, and then the next day signing with USC. And we want to know what's wrong with college football. So last year, 2024, Maiava began the season as the backup to Miller Moss. Now, Miller Moss is the starting quarterback at Louisville. Why is Miller Moss at Louisville? Because he struggled and Lincoln Riley benched him and inserted Maiava into the lineup. After the season, Miller Moss was out. Now, I did a video a while back on how the transfer portal is really hurting the development of college quarterbacks. This is a prime example right here. We are developing soft non-competitors at the QB position. And at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, the guys that really pay the price for this are the NFL teams that are drafting QBs, because they're coming in not ready to compete. They're coming in not tough mentally and physically. And college football and the transfer portal has absolutely created that. So last season for USC, threw for 1,201 yards and completed 59% of his throws. That's not real good. He threw 11 touchdown passes and 6 picks. And that takes us to this season, where after this past game against Notre Dame, Maiava's thrown for 2,180 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 4 picks. 2 of those interceptions happened Saturday night in South Bend. Okay, my general thoughts on Maiava. He is a big, strong dude with a strong arm. Okay, 6'4", 230, that's a big-ass quarterback. He's got a gunslinger's mentality, in my opinion, not only with the confidence to try to fit balls into spots where maybe he shouldn't try to fit them, but he makes some decisions which are questionable too. And, those two things go hand in hand. That is a gunslinger's mentality. And so for Trojan fans, that comes with the man, and that comes with his thought process. And and his confidence level. And you're going to have games where he's going to do amazing stuff, and you're going to have other games where you're going to go, what the hell is going on? And that just comes with the territory. Okay. Head coach Lincoln Riley has got Maiava in the correct pre-snap stagger. All right. So he's a right-handed quarterback. He's got his right foot up, left foot back. That's exactly the way you want to do it. And the reason for that is he doesn't have to take an extra step now on his drop. So when he takes a 3-step drop, it is a 3-step drop, not a 4-stepper. His feet are decent. Okay. Not too sloppy. Now he does an interesting thing when they throw quick game. I call it GST, or the way I taught my quarterbacks: grab, stab, and throw. Grab the snap, stab that back foot in the ground, and get the ball out. What Maiava does on quick game is he opens up, takes that first open step, and then a couple of little hop steps to get his feet under his shoulders, and then the ball is out. Now, with what USC does in their quick game, it seems to time out pretty good. And like I said, his feet are decent, not sloppy. Just like every other quarterback we've talked about on this channel, when he gets his feet right in the pocket, he can really drive the ball on intermediate throws. Pretty accurate in the quick game. I've got some issues with his vertical throws, and we will talk about that as the show goes on. His pocket management is good. You know, what I like about him is he stands in the pocket and he tries to stay in there for as long as he can and keep the integrity of the route concept that's on. In other words, he's not one of these guys that the first sign that stuff's starting to break down, his eyes drop down to the rush, and now he's trying to bail out, find a way to get out and make something happen. He stays in the pocket and tries to work the passing game. And finally, and you know this is big for me with quarterbacks, he's got really nice composure on the field. So in this Notre Dame game, you know, things weren't going exactly right for USC, maybe the last 3 quarters of this game. And every time that he was on the bench, they would have the camera on him close up, and his expression never changed. He had a steely-eyed look and focused on what he needed to do, wasn't in the tank, didn't show any emotion, and that's what you want your quarterback to do. Now, we're going to talk about this a little bit more in this show today, but there was a distinct difference for me watching the 2 quarterbacks in this game and their reactions and how they carried themselves on the sideline when things weren't going their way. And I'm talking about the difference between Maiava for USC and Notre Dame's quarterback CJ Carr. And we'll talk about that more here in a bit. Okay, let's jump into the Notre Dame game. And a heads up before we start here. Because of the channel that carried this game nationally, they block anybody from sharing or copying video clips off of that feed to use for like my videos. And so I had to rely on Notre Dame's stuff because USC didn't put anything up either. So this is Notre Dame's video cuts that I'm using for this show today. And it really eliminated a lot of the throws that Maiava had in this game. So we're going to have to talk about, for example, the vertical throws that he made. You're not going to see the clips of them because I simply don't have them, but we'll get through it. Okay, the Irish win this game in South Bend 34-24, and Maiava was 22 out of 42 for 328 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Notre Dame quarterback CJ Carr was 16 for 26, 136 yards, 1 TD, and 1 really bad pick. Okay, first off, this was going to be a second half challenge for Maiava because of the weather. Okay, they had predicted rain coming in for the second half, but you also had wind. And you can talk to any quarterback and they'll tell you the worst weather conditions for throwing the football. It's not rain. It is rain combined with wind. And so we got some of this wind stuff coming in the second half. The rain was coming down pretty good. And, you know, USC knew that going in. So that's just something that they had to deal with. All right. How do we know Lincoln Riley's an offensive coach and a former quarterback? Because USC won the toss and didn't frickin' defer. They said, we want the rock, which is what I did every time. And they did exactly what you want to do as an offensive head coach. Take the ball first, zip it right down the field, stick it in the end zone, and go up 7-0. Okay, so that first drive now, Notre Dame came out and played cover one, which is man free, but their corners were loose. They were backed off, and SC came in and attacked that right away, throwing hitch routes, throwing RPO hitch routes. And if you notice, after that first drive, Notre Dame took their corners and walked them down and pressed them up so that they wouldn't give those little gimmies to Maiava. Now, for Notre Dame, how in the world do you show up defensively to face Lincoln Riley and USC and not be ready for the tempo? I mean, Notre Dame's defense was a mess on that first drive. It was like they were totally unprepared and shocked for what they were seeing tempo-wise. And in fact, it was so bad that they had one snap where they didn't have a cornerback lined up over the outside right receiver for SC. And Maiava and the receiver just kept their poise. They ran the route that was called, calmly chuck it out there to an uncovered receiver. They got a nice gain out of it. But man, that was surprising that Notre Dame's defense came in like that on the first drive. Okay, now the first drive ended with Maiava's best throw of the game. By far, this was his best throw. First quarter, second goal from the 10-yard line. This is a 10-yarder back of the end zone on what I call a fin route. Some guys may call this a banana route. You've got the receiver that's inside releasing on his defender and then bending it back outside vertically. What made this such a great throw by Maiava was how it played out and the degree of difficulty on the throw. So when you watch him here, he takes his drop and he's keying. He's either looking at McCree or he's looking at another receiver downfield. And then he takes a nice little slide step to his right. He double clutches the ball and snaps his eyes outside to the running back on the swing to the right and pulls the ball back down and snaps his eyes back and finds McCree. Now, here's why this is such a great throw, because the only place that Maiava could have put this throw is exactly where he put it. He had a really small window to place this football. And what you want to do with this throw is you want to put it up high so that the cornerback or the DB or who's ever playing man-to-man on McCree can't make a play, and that McCree can go up and high point the ball and take it off the rim. And that's exactly where Jayden Maiava put this throw. This is a great ball. And McCree goes up, strong hands, and is able to tap down in the back of the end zone, touchdown. So Notre Dame was pretty simple in this game, especially in the first half. They came out and ran a 4-2, a six-man box, cover one, right? And that was pretty much it. They would send a linebacker a lot of times, so they were getting five-man pressure. I think as the game went along, they mixed those in. But with USC's offensive tackles, Notre Dame could create a lot of havoc and disruption just by a four-man rush because those defensive ends were abusing SC's offensive tackles the whole game. Okay, so here's one thing that Blackledge said on TV, which was really good. And I spotted this early, and then he said it about, a series or two later. Notre Dame was tipping because they were mixing zone coverage in with that man-to-man stuff. And they were playing, a little cover two, a little cover four. They even ran a little bit of cover three, and they put in some two-man as well. But the tip between man and zone was the Irish DB, Leonard Moore. When he was lined up on USC's receiver, Lemon, that was man-to-man. Anytime that Moore was lined up at the corner position, they were playing zone. That's a big tip and tell for Lincoln Riley and Jayden Maiava. Well done by Blackledge, calling that out on TV. Okay, one thing that was apparent to me after that first quarter, maybe even the first drive, but especially after that first quarter, for the rest of the game, when USC was throwing the ball, you were seeing Maiava either double clutching balls, getting knocked off platform, or throwing balls off balance. And USC's offensive tackles, I'm telling you, every time that you saw Maiava in this game either get flushed, get enveloped and sacked, get pushed one way or the other, forced to climb the pocket. Almost every time that happened, it was the case of one of USC's offensive tackles getting beat by Notre Dame's defensive end. They caused havoc and chaos all game long. And it wasn't just on pass rush either. It was in the running game as well. I mean, we're going to talk about this as we go today. SC's offensive line, particularly the tackles, they were a problem for the Trojans. All right, let's move to this 2-play sequence now in the second quarter. This one was mind-boggling to me. We've got a 3rd and 3, and Lincoln Riley runs a behind the line of scrimmage, flat swing, I guess you could call this, to a tight slot receiver. And in catching the ball, the guy stumbles and ends up going down for no gain. But when we go back and look at receiver Jacoby Lane, he mailed in the effort and execution on this pin block on the safety. In other words, he didn't touch anybody. And so if the receiver is able to keep his feet, this safety is going to come downhill and blow this thing up anyway. Which leads us to the next snap now. It's 4th and 3, and Riley has Maiava play fake and throw another behind the line of scrimmage flat shoot route to his tight end. Now, this was a theme for me all game long. When you need a first down, when you need a play, when you need a receiver who's got speed, go to your fast playmaking receivers. Don't put the ball in the hands of your tight end. And Lincoln Riley did this a couple of times in this game on 4th down. Really head scratchers for me. And so he runs this behind the line of scrimmage flat shoot route to the tight end. He's covered. Notre Dame does a hell of a job dissecting this play. No chance. And the ball is dropped and the Trojans have to turn the ball over. Now, if McCree does catch the ball and he steps out of the tackle of the guy that's right there, receiver Lemons dude is going to make the stop. Here's another one. I mean, this is just mind-boggling stuff. If you're a USC fan watching this, you're just going, what in the world are we doing? So the play's going outside, right? This is an isolation play for McCree running a shoot route to the sideline. The play is going outside. Lemon's job is to pin that DB to the inside because that DB, he sees where the ball's going and he's going to be working outside. So Lemon has to attack that outside shoulder, keep outside leverage and get that guy pinned. Watch what he does on the snap. He goes at the inside shoulder. The defender just slides off of him to the outside. So again, if McCree holds on to the ball and steps out of that initial tackle, the other guy is going to make the tackle and make the stop. That type of execution haunted the Trojans all night long. And then these are 2 questionable calls, I think, by Lincoln Riley. Okay, let's move to the second quarter now. It's 3rd and goal, and USC and Maiava, they miss a touchdown pass here. And this is one of the plays that I do not have on film, but this was a goal line route that if Maiava gets his feet right, he puts the ball on him for a touchdown. But because his feet are jacked up and he has to throw the ball off his back foot, why? Because the left tackle is getting beat, where Maiava can't get his feet underneath him and drive the ball and put it accurately on his guy. The ball is low. And initially, the officials called it a pick for Notre Dame. But when you saw the replay of this, it was obvious that the ball hit the ground. Tell me, guys, how frustrating it is to watch football on TV and sit there looking at the replays, the same exact stuff that the replay officials are looking at and going, what in the hell is taking you guys so long to make the call? This was one of those. Okay. The ball definitely bounced. And bottom line is here, the Trojans missed a touchdown on this play again because one of their tackles got beat and Maiava had to throw the ball off his back foot. Okay. I'm going to jump to the third quarter now. And this is Jayden Maiava's second best throw of the game. It's the 59-yard fin route to receiver Lane. Okay. Again, this is an inside release, vertical, and then bend it back out vertically. Nice touch on this throw. Good air by Maiava, and he puts it right in stride for Lane and the touchdown. Now, before Maiava makes this throw, he does a great job in the pocket of sliding to his right. Okay, he's getting a little bit of pressure on the backside, and he just slides to the right, keeps his poise, and delivers a strike to Lane Okay, now we go to the 2-point play after this touchdown pass. And again, they go to Lane on this. And this is a really slick way to run this route. This is an isolation, we called this a hide route. Back when I coached, he's going to sell like he's going outside, and he's going to pivot and come back inside. And Lane does a hell of a job here of attacking that DB's outside shoulder. And then the key to this route, 2 things. Number 1, he reverse pivots and drop steps, like he's blocking out in basketball. That's big because by drop stepping and reverse pivoting, he can get his eyesight on that ball faster than going the other way. Plus, by pivoting like that, he now pins that DB to the outside and assures himself that that guy is going to stay outside. And then the second key to this play, if you're able to watch this on clips and slow it down on your laptop, watch when the ball comes out of Maiava's hand and where Lane is on his route. So this is a hell of a job by Maiava getting that sucker out on time, even before Lane has completely turned around. And he needed to do this because Notre Dame's bringing 8-man pressure. Okay, 8 dudes coming. Now, as I said, after the first quarter, Maiava started throwing a bunch of passes off his back foot, not striding properly into throws. And this pick that he throws here is a great example of this. So he's trying to throw the dig route here to Lane, and the pocket's breaking down. Maiava has room here to properly stride into this throw, which would have helped his accuracy a ton. But his feet are kind of jacked up here, and he's fallen off balance. And because of that, he puts the ball behind his receiver and he throws a soft ball. This is an easy pick for Notre Dame. I would call this an unforced error on Jayden Maiava. Okay, this was his own doing in the pocket. He just had bad feet, which resulted in a bad throw. And his receiver didn't help him out. So, we just talked about the great fin route that Lane ran and the 2-point little hide route that he ran. This is a horseshit route by him. I cannot tell whether he's running a dig route, a bender route, a deep crosser, but whatever he's running here, at the top of his stem, he jogs the rest of the route when he comes inside. I just don't get that against man coverage. And then after the ball's picked, Jacoby Lane didn't exactly bust his ass running this guy down either. So, it's that kind of effort by the receivers in this game and execution that haunted SC along with their offensive tackles in pass pro and the run game. I think they were playing with one hand tied behind their back the entire game against a really good Notre Dame team. Okay, let's talk about the verticals now and Maiava that I have an issue with. And again, I don't have clips of this. Hopefully we can get through this and I can explain it to you. The first outside vertical that he threw in this game, as soon as that ball started to come out of his hand, I was going, no way. And the reason I said that was when he took his drop, I thought he was looking the safety off to the right, the free safety. They were in cover 1. I thought he was looking him off to the right and was going to come back and throw the vertical to the left. But that's where he was going with the ball. So on the snap of the ball, and what got me so fired up is, I'm looking at everything, trying to expand my vision, and I can see what he's doing, but I can also see what that safety's doing. That safety, when Maiava looked to the right, took off like a shot out of center field, and he's on a dead sprint to the outside to get in on that vertical route. And Maiava throws the ball flat, and it was incomplete. And if you've listened to my channel before, you know that I talk about anytime you're throwing a outside vertical against one high safety, one guy in the middle of the field, you got to glance him off, look him off, the opposite way of which you're going, right? So he doesn't get in on the play. And then when you're throwing outside verticals, you got to put air underneath the ball so you don't have to be perfect with the throw. Well, Maiava has to throw that ball flat. And the reason he has to throw it flat is to beat that free safety who's screaming out of center field because he didn't look him off. Okay. And he throws the ball flat. You have to be perfect with the throw. He wasn't perfect with the throw. Incomplete. Now, later in the game, they ran an outside vertical to the left and he did the exact same thing. This is coached behavior, and this is on Lincoln Riley. For as long as I've watched Riley coach, first at Oklahoma and now at USC, his quarterbacks put up big numbers, and offensively they do really good things, but technically his QBs aren't technically great. And it's the little things that they don't do that I think he misses out on and his quarterbacks miss out on, and it affects plays during games. And this is one of those examples right here. And guys, it is the little things that make such a huge difference with quarterbacks. Okay, we move to the fourth quarter, and this was not great execution for SC's offense. It's 4th and inches, and for the second time in this game, on 4th down, Lincoln Riley runs a play for his tight end versus man coverage. So on this play, they run the tight end on a little leak route out the back door with a little bit of a roll by Maiava, and it's just not there. Notre Dame smothers the tight end. If you're going to throw the ball, like I said earlier, if you're going to throw the ball on 4th down, get it to one of your playmakers with speed who can create separation. If USC's got those kind of guys, I'm not sure that they even have those. Or go 4 wide out, get Notre Dame in a 6-man box, and go to your best run play, 4th and inches. Right? But highlighting your tight end when it's nut cutting time on 4th down, I don't know about that. And so Maiava throws the ball. It's dropped, incomplete, and Todd Blackledge summed up this play and probably the other Lincoln Riley calls in this game by just saying this: unbelievable. And he was right. Okay, we go to the last 2 snaps of the game now for USC. It's 2nd and 10, and the right tackle drops his head, gets beaten pass pro, and Maiava gets sacked. Okay, and that leads us to their last play. It's 3rd and 17. The left offensive tackle jumps outside. The defensive end comes inside of him and beats him and forces Maiava out of the pocket. The play now is jacked up. Maiava's got a running back running right in front of him, downfield, right in his line of sight with nobody around him. But here comes the gunslinger mentality. And Maiava fires a flat, deep ball downfield that has no chance, and it's picked off. Okay, so I said now that the left offensive tackle jumped outside and got beat inside. That's one way to look at it. The other way is I think USC was running a bob and sort protection and doing a 3-man sort to the left. And if they're doing a 3-man sort to the left, then the left tackle and the left guard screwed this up, which is a pretty fitting way for USC to end the night and a pretty frustrating way for Jayden Maiava to end the night. I don't think SC's offensive line helped him out too much in this game. Okay, and finally, a few observations on the SC Notre Dame game. Okay, I talked about the 2 quarterbacks and the difference on the sideline earlier. I need to say this about CJ Carr and guys like him. I always got nervous if I had a quarterback, and I didn't have a whole lot of these guys like this in my career, but I got nervous when I had a quarterback that constantly had to be reassured and patted on the back on the sideline. Okay. And that happened a lot in this game with Notre Dame. CJ Carr on the bench, got coaches patting him on the back. He got his teammates patting him on the back. I want a quarterback where his teammates are kind of afraid to be around him when he's on the sideline. Good old school guys like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and Dan Marino and Troy Aikman. When those guys came off the field after a bad series, nobody was around them. Because if anybody would have tried to saddle up to them and say, oh, that's okay, we'll get them next time, they would have wheeled around and maybe punched them in the face. I don't know. If you want to make life really easy for the quarterback, play cover 0 in the red zone and play your safety 8 to 9 to 10 yards off the slot receiver, which is exactly what USC did on CJ Carr's touchdown pass here. Okay. This is like a gimme. This is pitch and catch on this quick little bender route. Now, I want to break down what Carr did here, and I want to give a really big compliment to Notre Dame's quarterback coach because this is coached behavior. On this play, I want you to watch the reaction of the inside linebacker to the side that Carr's throwing this quick bender. He doesn't move. And if he steps outside a step or two, he's in the way of that throw, but he doesn't move. And when I show you this play from behind Carr, you're going to see why. On the snap of the ball, CJ Carr stares right at 23 and it freezes him. So it's a quick stare and then he snaps his eyes out because he knows that he's going to that guy the whole way. And again, this is coached behavior. Don't just catch the snap. Bring your eyes out there, which takes that inside linebacker out there with your eyes. And now under that throw, stare his ass down, freeze him, snap outside, get the ball out, touchdown. This is great execution by CJ Carr and a hell of a job by Notre Dame's quarterback coach. All right, so where does Jayden Maiava fall in to the categories after this Notre Dame game? Well, I would say that he's probably in that good category. But because I'm a little frustrated in how Lincoln Riley calls the offense with him, and because I don't know if he gets a lot of help from his offensive line, and I need to see some receivers step up and come to the party, he's going to stay in that good category. And, you know, it's not a real good. It's a good. Okay. He's a big, strong guy who plays with a lot of composure. He's a competitor. I just think that there are so many other things that go into making a successful QB, and he's got the ingredients. I just don't know if he's got the entire package around him to elevate his game to where it needs to be. All right. Let me know what you guys think. Did I get it right or did I get it wrong? This is QB Unfiltered, and remember, always throw the ball short to guys who can score. See ya.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.